support team here, and I know you know about the Educating VR community, and we're going to talk a bit more about them at the end of the session, just to summarize everything. But Donna, I know you wanted to say a word as well. Are you happy to do that at the end, or you prefer to do that now?
Sorry, let's do it at the end.
Yeah, sure. Okay, excellent. All right, great. Well, I don't know what the time is. Yeah, it's 9:03 here, so we're 3 minutes past the hour. The doors have been open for 4 or 5 minutes. So, well, let's begin. So this is Carlos Fernandez, and I need you to tell us, how do we pronounce your other names there? Because my Spanish is not fantastic.
It's Carlos Ochoa. Ochoa is
Ochoa,
H-A.
okay.
Ochoa.
Okay.
Carlos Ochoa.
Excellent. Carlos Ochoa Fernandez. Very good. And so you are the chapter president out there in Madrid, is that correct? Yeah, for the VRAR Association?
Yes, right, in ARA Madrid, yeah.
Very good.
And I'm a co-chair of the Education Committee as well.
Yes, and so you, excellent. So we look forward to hearing a lot more about that in the coming 50 minutes. And the reason I wanted to get Carlos to come along for this final lesson is because he really reflects so many things that this is all about. He reflects the energy. You're going to see that in the way he talks. He's charismatic, he's passionate about it, he's got a lot of experience, and I'm giving you lots of compliments, Carlos, but I'm getting them all out early. But yeah, you are the perfect person to really finish this off. So thank you very much for waking up a little bit early this Saturday morning and being with us. Good.
Thank you, Michael. It's really my pleasure.
Excellent, fantastic. So, all right, I'm going to navigate through the slides for you. Just introduce yourself then a bit more. Who are you? What's been your journey up until this point? Let people know.
Okay. Well, the journey is really large, you know. I studied at the university, engineer. I was working for almost 15 years, working in bridges, highways, building universities, and it was a very, very amazing job for me during my first life. Okay, then I moved to Siemens, and I was working in Siemens for almost 15 years, and I was working in the CD systems for the industry, and then I went to the geographical information systems, where I was in the team for developing the platform for Europe. And then during this period, we started to work with digital image processing, with virtual reality integrating land information systems together with visualization in 3D. And it was another amazing experience for me. And then in the beginning of the century, I built up my own company, an e-learning company, just to develop my own ideas. And we started to work with different ministries of education. We started to collaborate with publishers like Oxford University Press, like Cambridge University Press, and some governments in Emirates, in Spain, in England. And now it's my third or my fourth journey, and you know, I'm getting old, but now it's really impressive for me to be here, just trying to share all these experiences and and learning from this new era, and share with all of you these experiences where we are learning every day.
Definitely. And before continuing, could we just double check, is the sound getting picked up okay? Are we okay for kind of audio? Carlos, maybe you want to just, can we turn on the megaphone? I'm not sure if that's on. If you look down at the bottom left there on your control, you've got the menu, and at the 12 o'clock, you should see the megaphone icon.
Yes.
I don't know. Great. Are you able to turn
the
that
microphone
on at all?
is, yes, it's
the
on.
The microphone's on, yeah. Can we hear Carlos at the back okay?
Yeah.
But he's not actually on the megaphone.
Yes.
We can hear Carlos.
Okay,
Okay,
fantastic.
perfect.
That's all that counts.
I have a question.
I can hear Carlos.
Yeah.
Is that you in that little icon on the screen?
Where are you, please?
Yeah.
Raise your hand.
Right here.
Yes.
You're looking
Yeah.
for your age, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
because the avatar is the same avatar that when I was 40. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. These are the good news from avatars and virtual worlds, you know.
Fantastic. All right. So let's jump into it, Carlos. We've got some great pictures to show. You forwarded them to me yesterday. Let's jump through. So
Yeah, yeah,
picture number
sure.
one. What does this reflect? Hopefully, yeah. There we
Yeah.
go.
Dive in.
Yeah, I would like to start with this picture because this was, let's say, the beginning of this disruptive environment when we talk about the fourth wave of virtual reality. And this is really an amazing marketing approach from Samsung. When Samsung started to develop the Samsung Gear, just with the idea on mind that you can use your smartphone as a device to use it with virtual reality. So they went to Africa and they recorded some experiences with Felix and Paul. Felix and Paul is one of the biggest and the greatest VR cinema producers, and they they recorded an experience in Africa. And in the experience, I had the opportunity, some people from Felix and Paul that were working in this amazing project, and they put the glasses to the Africans, and they move around the world. So they never move from the space, from the side, and they had the opportunity to go to the mountains, to go to islands, and to go to the different part of the world. And when they put out the headphones, and the other people talk about where have you been? What are you doing? They said, I've been on the mountains. I got the feeling I was there. So this was something like magic, you know, and how the people can get the immersive experience as a real feeling. And it was recorded 4 years ago. And for me, it's really amazing because it's really on the heart, on the perception of what is VR, is sharing experiences. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And before we move on, Carlos, I mean, what
So
were
the
your
thing,
early?
you can read in the paper, is that the true
Yes.
sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination, Albert Einstein. So with imagination, you can move, you can do everything you want. It's not the problem if you have the headset, if you have the device, or you can use whatever you have on your hand. And then with imagination, you can do incredible things, believe me.
Yeah, yeah. And what was your first experience with virtual reality, Carlos? Can you remember that? What was that like?
Yeah, well, we started with virtual reality in the, oh my God. I'm sure you remember Steven Spielberg, Jurassic Park, and all these old films. So in our company, we started with the same computer, Silicon Graphics, and we started to develop our own technology. And we focused on education and cultural heritage. As you know, cultural heritage is a big opportunity in the way that you can rebuild ancient places from scratch. And we were starting in different projects, working with experts, with architects, and we rebuilt different cities around Spain. And for instance, the city of St. Petersburg, where we were working with different museums like the Hermitage and whatever. So it was developed in the early 20s, so almost 20 years ago, you know. And in this period, we had to develop everything by ourselves because there were no tools or authoring tools like Unity or Unreal as you have right now. But you could navigate and you can teletransport, you can do everything. And it was really in the very beginning. So some things that you can see right now, like for instance, augmented reality, when you are making some market or retail experiences, we were working with some institutions in France, in England, and in another regions in Europe working together on that. So we can say this was the basic of the virtual reality experiences. So now it's much more easier, you know.
Definitely. Okay, let's move forward. And the next slide is coming up now. So that was that same group of people?
Yes, it's the same. It's just to talk about this experience, where you can see. Well, for me, it's really a pity that something here stopped the development of this amazing platform. You know, because they built a lot of content together with Oculus Rift, and we use it in some projects. For instance, we developed a project for the Ministry of Education in Emirates, United Arab Emirates, implementing the smart education labs, where we install an open environment like we are here, where the students can move all around the place, and they have 3D printers, and they have CD systems, and they have the first Samsung devices with the glasses. And we started to train the teachers to use this technology, let's say in a homogeneous environment, just to understand how the technology can be integrated in the classroom. And this was, let's say, one really amazing experience in the way that we teach the teachers how to use the technology and how to train the students to use this technology in this common environment.
Yeah.
So you can move to the next.
Yeah, before we do that, just before I forget, because I think it's a really important point as well to just maybe stop and reflect on for any teachers out there, any students that might be watching this either now or in future. Like, here's the question. It's like, obviously, you've seen the development of virtual reality in a time where you got involved in a time when it wasn't this kind of beginning of a mass market thing. We've got everybody now in the Western world at least potentially could have a virtual reality headset at some point in the next 5 years. And the statistics are kind of showing how that is beginning to find its way into people's homes, and even 6 degrees of freedom as well, which you can look under objects and really get that full immersion feeling. I mean, when you were experiencing this 20 years ago, it was nothing like it was then, was it? And where do you see this going, kind of, looking ahead in the next 5 years, for example?
Well, let's say that what we have learned during the last years is that the solution right now was, the disruptive moment was the mobile, okay? Because the concept and, the mobile and the resolution of the graphical resolution and the authoring tools. But in the concept, it's nothing new, So, and this is the moment that we have to create something new. Let's say, for instance, here we are in an open space, but there were a lot of virtual spaces in the past, as you may know. And the thing is that we need more interactivity, we need more tools in the way that we can create in this environment, the way that we can create the tool and we can experiment all together. So the thing, as I saw, the new future is that it has to be more collaborative environment where the students can really experiment with that without risk, and they can connect and learn in the network with students all around the world. This is why I really focus a lot in the Africa pictures, because when we talk about how to democratize the education, we have to eliminate all the barriers, and the technology cannot be a barrier evermore. This is why it's very important the imagination, how to use the tools, how to use the network, how to connect one with the other. For instance, right now we're in a really crazy situation where we need to collaborate, to work all together, and we see how the governments close the boundaries and everybody is thinking only in their own community without sharing power, sharing money, sharing resources. And this is the worst situation that nobody could imagine, So these are the contradictions that we are living right now. So we are closing the frontiers, and we saw that at the very beginning the problems come from abroad. But now the problems are in our countries, and we are very afraid about that, but we don't have the solution. So, and the solutions, we are part of the solution, because we are people from all over the world connecting here, and we have to look for those tools in the way that we can move faster. So we have
absolutely.
Mission. We have a mission, let's say, as leaders, not really leaders, but people that is thinking in this environment. And we have to look for those solutions all together in the way that we have to break all the rules, okay, and to break the frontiers and connect one with the other, just to make a more sustainable world.
I couldn't agree more. Before we respond to that, Carlos, and maybe open up the questions again and proceed with the presentation, could you just re-enter the space? Because the voice is a little bit, the audio there, quality, we can fix that. If you just go to the menu, bottom left, click Settings on the right, and then in the General tab, which loads, can you see re-enter space?
Okay.
Yeah. Click that, we'll see you back here. No, re-enter space. So settings, and then it's in the generals. Right, okay. You need to click the menu, which is the triangle in the middle of the circle.
Okay.
And then settings.
Yes.
And general, you will see re-enter space.
No. Oh, re-enter,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Click that. So Carlos will be back in 2 shakes of a coffee cup. Is that the expression? I have no idea anymore. I need coffee, and I don't even drink coffee. Right, we're waiting for Carlos to come back. Now, this normally fixes the audio. I think, Margie, you mentioned it was a bit scratchy. When Carlos comes
Michael,
back,
I just want to
there it
say,
is.
thank you so much though for the previous lesson. I don't think we gave you a good, a round of applause for that. I think we should. Everybody, let's give him a round of applause. He did awesome. Just to let you know for the previous.
Oh, thanks, Isaac. Really appreciate that. That helps me
Better?
get over the finish line. Thanks very much, mate. Yeah, that's much better, Carlos.
Good
Thank
job,
you very
Michael.
much.
Okay.
Excellent.
Welcome.
So there's the next slide.
Thank you.
Well, this was a reflection. So the idea is not to comment all the slides, just is to pass one after the other, because it's just like a reflection about what is education.
Yes.
And this is very, very important. Because when right now, we can see from our education committee that everybody, you can read it in the, everybody coming from different sectors is talking about reimagining education. We have to talk about that, breaking the rules. And they even don't have an idea about what is education. Because one thing is education, another different thing is learning, another different thing is the process of teaching. So education is something coming from the legal aspects from the government. So the thing is that we can talk with the governments as experts, okay, as consultants, to give some impact, but with realistic data. We cannot go there and say, okay, use this and use that because this is good or not, because there are not evidence at all. There are more projects and whatever. So we need, let's say, a robustic ecosystem, and with providing real value in the way that we know how to integrate the technology, but we have to work very close to the teachers. One thing that I'm pretty sure you can see, that there is a big barrier between, well, I call it cycles, you know. Mm-hmm. There is a cycle that is the education environment, another cycle which is the industry, and another cycle which is the society. And the cycles are running isolated. So we need to look how to connect cycles. Otherwise, it never works, you know, because it's a crisis. So the teachers think that the technological people For instance, there is no concept, or I'm not agree with the concept that there is an education model from Google, an education model from Microsoft, or an education model from HP. This is not an education model. This is the way that those manufacturers want to sell their products in the market. So we need to integrate, and we need to understand the technology, and we have to close the gap in that way, you know? So, and then, for instance, we are working in a survey. You are all very welcome if you want to participate in the survey. We're making a survey all around the world about the VR, AR education, in education. And what we saw already with the information or the data we have is that the very first barrier is the teachers' training, because they are almost, they don't have the right knowledge, and they don't have the right perception of the values and the benefit of the technology. So how they are going to provide value to the students if they are not ready for that, you know? This is why it's very important. For instance, the European community, there is a project called Jobs for Tech, where Europe made an estimation that in the next 5 years, there will be a demand around of more than 500 experts in IT with knowledge in virtual and augmented reality. And who is going to train these new professionals, and where, with kind of knowledge? The thing is not to understand Unity or Unreal, as many people it's trying to say, okay, you are a good programmer in Unreal, then you are in virtual reality. That's not okay. Yeah. So we're working on a project, and we have a program, a complete program for 5 projects in Germany, Estonia, and Spain. We're working together with the teachers, with different schools and international centers. And the first thing that we saw is that we need to understand skills of teachers and understand how they may reinforce the performance, for instance, all the soft skills. If you don't have the right skills, how you are going to train or teach the students in this area? Okay, so at the end, we have developed a big group of experts, which is going to really integrate the soft skills and the training. That means that you need to understand what is meditation, you need to understand what because future companies, the company that network, you know, there will no more 1,000 employees companies, because the meeting very constantly connected from India, or and you have to teach the students that they need to learn English, for instance, the main English, and then you need to understand that you need to connect with people. So there is a value network, and you have to understand them how to use this value. Just if you want to use this value in the future of your work.
Yeah, definitely. You touched on some points there. If you were looking the audio is everything okay? Do we need to really expose possibly? There's a slight understand. It's not too difficult to understand. It looks like what you Carlos, let's have questions, because this is one of the things that we covered a little bit else last time. In the last 24 hours, what we've done on the benefits and also something that you attended last time. Okay. Can you hear clearly, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, it's hard. Can. Yeah. Okay. Testing. Yeah. Carlos, I'll tell you what. We've got some questions for you. Just read into the space like you did before, and you're going to be crystal clear again. So maybe yeah, please. Good reading. Okay, you see that. Questions on Carlos, because I've got a few lined up. He touched on a number of actually the thread around all this is events that hugely traction you can build on with the people don't need it, they don't know how to use it, it's point of building it in the first place. So you need to involve anybody possible, particularly teachers and students at all levels to understand is there anything that people want to add to that element. Have we got margin, yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Because they'll people like they are and he reiterated how critical they are. Because if you don't have a team work together, you're never going to get any attention in the work. So I appreciate it. Giving soft skills and credibility.
Yeah, well said, Margie. And this is a good point. Comes about, I'm sure it will take some time soon, but soft skills, this is when you look at, for example, the United Nations development goals, which is just to the Agenda 2020, or is 2030, I get confused with the agendas, but the point is that the SDGs, UN, it's a huge amount in the education sector, or education before it gives you all that soft skills, building that almost cognitive thinking ability to okay, what is not just teaching these things about teaching what they know, how they know it, how to know it, what you do with things they know and they don't know, what information at that stage. I think the new way of education where we're kind of entering now, where particularly with virtual reality we can build a deep understanding about we don't know where to arrive to reach those new learning goals. I'm taking the time to start off by a conference and Robert is back in the room, good small morning Robert as well.
I can't hear Robert.
Two seasons, Robert. Which you hang on a minute. We'll put you on. Do you remember the drill that we conquered what you said anyway. Okay. Excellent. Well, Carlos, this is what when we were around the room, Margie brought our attention to the Margie brought our attention to the collaborative nature of soft skills and stuff. I mean, we're talking about education, coach, education committee or group, and how do you use it, in a practical classroom level, in classroom, one teacher, one student, how they build the competency, the collaboration, and the soft skills, for example, mainly using technology.
Yeah. Well, what our pilot project, So we were working with an Association company, early in the period, and we built up a team where we put together all the demands around our vision of the skills of the industry. Let's say the teachers or the profession, okay? And then we try to create, a definition of the teachers, for instance, innovation, for instance, creativity, for instance, team building, for instance, design or project-oriented. So then what we did is according to the different concepts or topics in the complete curriculum, we during this session, because we got the complete curriculum, the complete manuals, and then we tested the tutors in the real space, not in the virtual space, okay? Just to have evaluation, feedback, performance, and to see how it works. The idea was to build up these concepts, the complete concept, the way that they can replicate the same approach in their own countries, and replicate it in other teachers, the way that teachers can see their students. So we were working with the teachers and students to understand in the way that they don't have to teach the students how to build the more highly complex that was the idea. Okay. So when we finish the evaluation, what we do is we will let the implementation of the project in the different countries. And send us the videos how they implemented this methodology and how they improve the methodology in the different countries. And it was amazing. When I saw those experiences, for instance, in Estonia, where they were started working in art, creativity, marketing, not the technical issues, more in the area. We really ensured that the value benefit of the technology and the results are very amazing. Because they start to look, let's say, for this vocational training center where there are thousands of students, only with two local systems, okay? That's just 1 month, they enrolled around 10, but they didn't even have money by 1,000 because they don't need it. And they move over more professional environment, and they start to create workshops, they buy companies, they have share experiences, and then they are not amazing. So when we got back, we said, okay, it worked. So then we can replicate this method in other countries.
Yeah. So and that's the great thing as well. Now, 20 years ago when we were involved in this, I don't think we really had the low cost airlines when you first made your journey into VR. And actually, it would have been, imagine where we are now if you had these types of spaces 20 years ago VR. I think there was some kind of, I remember the Japanese American guy, I don't know if that was kind of the moment they laid out, but the social and the human interaction is so important, isn't it?
I'm good.
You're losing me. Yeah. Can everybody hear me and get some happy face if you can hear me? Just keep me updated. Okay. Good. All right, it's gone. Okay, no problem. Well, look, this is, I like this. It's almost like bite-sized chunks. It goes away, and we can digest it because there's an awful lot of these it's great information, and we can, that's it. We can just reflect on it, take a breather. So last time you did, we spoke about the soft skills, the collaborations. What are you talking about? We go. I don't know. You have the
Wi-Fi is working perfectly. I don't know what's going on. Okay.
Well, so you have patience. Don't worry, you are very welcome. It's a patience and share great information. What we're talking about is social interactions. Imagine if you had a space for really engaged 20 years ago when you first started, you could have connected with anybody anywhere in the world and shared ideas. But in terms of the global community that we live in now, actually it's very clever how Daniel was very well the co-founder of the community. He said we should have a logo, a kind of saying, think globally, act locally, which I mean maybe is the theme of this this event is that yes, we live in a very globalized world and it's easy to look outside externally at the people out there, but actually there are things we can do right now in our community on the local level, in schools, in hospitals, in businesses like what you're doing, and try to make positive change there and create that ripple effect, the wave out into the wider world. What would you say about that?
Yeah, well, if first of all, I would like to say apologize because the connection problems. I don't know what's going on.
No, that's okay. No problem.
Anyway, I will try to publish in SlideShare the presentation and some videos that I have in my channel. It's Smart Education Labs. There is a YouTube channel where you can see all those experiences, and I will show you something we developed almost 20 years ago. that was a virtual environment for schools. Okay, and this is it's the same vision I got right now. So the thing is how we can create an ecosystem where we can integrate all those, let's say, tools, okay? Because one thing is, for instance, we are working with the ARA to develop the online summit in June. We are collaborating with Immersive Learning Research Network also to see how we can implement those tools. But I think, from my point of view, we need to create an ecosystem. And in this ecosystem, you have an environment, platforms, or whatever. It doesn't matter if it's alt space, engage, or whatever. But you have to understand the tools and the possibilities of every one of those different platforms, because they were developed for different ideas or concepts, okay? And then we need digital resources libraries, where all those contents can be accessible to the community. For instance, one thing that has a great value is the meeting of today. And the meeting of today, we are, let's say, 20 people, 15 people here, but there maybe it could be very interesting for more than 10,000 people, how they can access to this information, how we can replicate from our perspective, our knowledge, and how we can share these experiences with our colleagues in all around the world, okay? Or how we can share all these resources, and how we can use some authoring tools, how to integrate it in an overall context, in the way that you can replicate the content. For instance, talking about experiences. The experience is unique. So you can record an experience. For instance, I had an amazing experience with students recording music class. Okay, I would say one day a 360 experience, because it was, for me, was one of the most amazing experiences in my life. Working with small kids in an English lesson, just a journey around the ocean. Okay, how we can build those experiences in a very, very simple way, in the way that you can implement it in every school all around the world. The thing is that then you can record it in a 360 with a 360 camera, and you can share this immersive experience. At the end, this is a result. Okay, so when we share all those resources, we are creating value for the community. Okay, and this is how I see the future. You have an ecosystem where you can put your content, but again, it's something very important, the value of the content, how to standardize the content in the way that can be replicated in platforms. So there are some norms and some rules that has to be developed. Otherwise, this will be a mix, because you need some curators or teachers or evaluators that say this is the right content, because you can find a lot of things in the network, but that not means that it is good. Okay, so standards, good professionals. So this is why, for instance, if the ARA Education Committee or educators in VR or another communities are producing some norms, standards, or regulations, that it can be a reference that we can push to the government to use it as a reference in this new environment, which is really the basic, okay? The ecosystem, the rules, and the norms, and how we can exchange the value of that, and how we train the teachers to provide value, and how we can share and to make a more democratic and sustainable world.
Yes. And, you said the word ecosystem, and whether we use that word ecosystem or community or group or kind of, library, community centre, whatever words you want to use, it's a gathering, a coming together of people, either physically or virtually or both, and it's about sharing ideas. And what you're talking about there is, I'm trying to think of practical ways as well, because what you're saying is fantastic, but I'm trying to kind of speak to the people that don't really know where to take the next step. They might have a good idea to build a product in virtual reality that might schools, for example, or businesses, they might be a teacher wanting to get involved with this. I mean, one of the things that I realized is that actually being laser focused in one kind of very specific use case, even like I said in the last hour, for a specific unit in a particular textbook, and make that work for one particular unit with a bunch of 5-10 students somewhere in the world, if you can refine that process to that small group, you can probably then begin to, create the blueprint that, like you just mentioned there, which is so important to then either scaling it if you're a business or demonstrating to the mass market this has a real use case as well academically. But and that's someone that's agreeing with us. And just one final point on that, Carlos. And I'll bring up your next slide because actually the next few ones are really interesting as well. Is people out there need to look beyond their existing ecosystems, and I think that's what you've done very well because thanks to your kind of diverse career, you need to not just talk to teachers, but you need to look at academics. You need to knock on the doors of researchers, the local university. You need to find out who is on your radar, studying things, working on projects, talking to local businesses. Think outside the box. Don't always just approach the teachers in your immediate circle. I think that's a great way to learn as well, and you kind of touched on that earlier. Thank you. I'm going to bring up the next slide, Carlos, if that's okay, because you've got some other great pictures. If I disappear, I'm going to be changing headsets, so don't worry, I'll be back soon. But Carlos, what can you say about this?
Move to the next one, yes.
Yeah.
Well, now this picture is to give you an idea that we are in a very, very complex situation in the world right now. I'm pretty sure that this new era will be a very, very terrible world environment because the poor countries will be even poor because the rich countries will create some barriers. And those barriers will become because the entrance, the communication, the security, the health, and whatever. And this will be terrible for the near future. So, this is the bad news, but the good news is that we have those tools where we can share in the community and we can bring our knowledge and our powerful and our strengths and to share with everybody around the world, okay? Because at the end, we are people and we are humans and we have to share our values and our knowledge because this is the only chance to survive as a community. I got the feeling that the people don't understand the situation of this crisis. What the hell is that China is resolving the local problem if the USA is going even bigger, or in Europe is going even bigger, or in Africa is bigger? The global problems need global solutions, otherwise the economy will lock down and this will be terrible for all. And I think that many politicians and many people around the world don't understand that. So the opportunity for us is to change the rules and to speak loud to everybody that there is a chance, and we are, let's say, the ones who can change the rules, because we can use this technology and we can help to the community to break the rules, okay? We are not too many people, but we can work together and we can speak loud and we can make our voice bigger than the voice of our, let's say, enemies. And this is our mission. And I think we have to work very, very close in this environment. And education, okay?
Sure. The another thing as well, Carlos, is I love a metaphor, and the educators in VR community, there's this kind of metaphor used, which is the tribe or the village. Is that a metaphor or an analogy? Sorry, after like 23 and a half hours, I don't even know the difference anymore. But basically, this word, a tribe, a village, of people who are trying to build something bigger for the future, and the idea of kind of supporting people. Oh yeah, this is it. So like in the past, obviously during the Renaissance period, like in Europe, you had like the coffee shop culture, the Café Hause, like in Austria and Germany and France and Italy. They were such a fundamental part of the community. It was where the poets, the writers met, the businessmen, and many other people. And I kind of feel like it's like this for this, this is like the coffee shop of like the 21st century, where in a sense that everybody's mixing from all walks of life. We've had 11-year-olds at one point in here talking about their business ideas. We've had 15-year-olds talking about how she sold 2,000 pairs of sandals and now doesn't produce it because she's working on other projects. I love the fact sort of that we're recording this, and most of this event has been recorded. So everything that you're saying right now, and all of the questions that we're going to take very, very shortly, and there's a few lined up already, it's just recording, burning in history, these conversations. And a lot of momentum can be gained from that in pushing us into the right direction, whether we talk about sustainability, getting access to education if you're under-resourced as well. So, the fact we're talking about this already is a great thing. So thank you again for being here. Do we have any questions at this point? Danny is someone that's followed us for most of the 24 hours. He's out in New York. Danny, you've got the megaphone. Welcome back.
Thank you, everyone. Carlos, y muchísimas gracias por su trabajo en este proyecto. La pregunta que yo tengo para nosotros es, cuando te vas a ver las cosas que estamos encontrando como humanos en este punto, ¿qué te vas a creer es la cosa que te vas a encontrar en el futuro? Que es más importante en cambio que ahora. Gracias.
Well,
Thanks,
I don't know if I understand well the question, because I have there were some interruptions in my headphones. So the question is what we are going to find in the future that we are not dealing with today.
Claro, sí. Con los problemas que estamos afrontando como humanos, como comunidad sociales ahorita, y lo que tú crees, en tu opinión, lo que sea más importante en el futuro para nosotros.
Sí. Well, I used to say that from right now, right on, never will be the same as it was until before, okay? But the thing is that I'm not very positive because we can see the news every day, and we can see the big fights in the European Union between the different countries. If they don't have virus, they are not interested in the countries that they have virus, and nobody cares about what's going on in Africa, big problems in South America, and for sure right now in the States and UK, and Italy and Spain is growing very fast, and we don't know how to stop it. What we can see is that we are not given the right, the politicians or the community is not given the right solutions for the community. And that means that the countries are locked down, that there will be a lot of barriers, the banks are thinking in their own, the stakeholders are looking in the short term. So who cares about the future? Well, there is a good news, and that nobody talk about that, but I think this, when the whole world is stopped, we have good news for the environment, because we're not flying at the moment, and this is very, very good for the environment, and the water is a little bit clear. Okay, there are some good news, but thinking about the future, I think that the new revolution will come from the people in the network, okay? And this is not an easy topic, because the network, there are good news, bad news, a lot of disruptive people telling crazy things. But as community, for instance, educators in the art or ARA or whatever, we have more power that we really think that we have, okay? So we can create some ideas in the way that we can push the citizens. So the new focus will be not the politicians, neither the governments, will be the citizens. And as citizens, we have this mission that we can force the society to change, okay? For instance, we talk about equity, women and men, but we have to talk about equity as a society, black, white, Africans, Americans, wherever. So we have to talk about equity as society, not as individuals. And this is in the way that we can provide value and to make the change to move faster. But this is our mission, and this is how I see. Absolutely, it's a theory. Let's say it's not a visionary. It's more moving by the heart. But as I told the very no, not me. It was Albert Einstein. As to say the thing is because imagination is not knowledge. It's imagination. So please use the imagination, and this is our strongest force.
Definitely. Wow. Yeah. And this is just giving us a sense, I guess, of the experiences, that kind of contextual immersion that people can have, I guess, Carlos, isn't it? In places around the world, you can transport yourself to a different location, anytime, anywhere.
Right. And this is also to see the contradiction between what you can do with the headset and the mobile phone in a small village in Africa, or what you can do in let's say in a top high-level industry with a top-end device. At the end, it's just the same. The value is in the imagination and in the experience. What can you do? It's not, the question is that you are a rich guy and you can spend €1,000 or dollars buying the most impressive technology, because at the end you have to provide value with the content. Otherwise, it's like if you want to buy a Mercedes just to go from the garage from one corner to the other. You need a Mercedes.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, look, we're going to begin to wrap up now, because we certainly don't want to keep you any longer than needed on this hopefully sunny morning in Spain. And this is, just talk a little bit about One Digital Consulting. How can we get in contact with you? That's your company, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
great.
In this picture, you can see some of the projects that where we have been working. In the top left is our project with the teachers from the Ministry of Education of the United Arab Emirates. Just in the middle is we are members of a Spanish Association of Teachers, where we collaborate in a Congress, just training the teachers in VR, AR every year. The top right is the members of the Jobs for Tech community, the people from Estonia and Lithuania, where we gave the diploma because they get it during this seminar, and the other are another different images from our projects. So you can find it in onedigitalconsulting.com, and I have my blog, carlosjochoa.com, or you can look at Twitter, Facebook, or SlideShare. Well, I used to publish all the experiences, or you can contact me directly, and my email is a little bit complicated, but you have my contact here in other space, and we can send you all this information. And in YouTube, we have a channel where we use to upload all our experiences, so you can get it just for free.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, and again, this reflects the fact, what I said 2 hours ago, is that when we talk about you, Carlos, we talk about Dr. Farid or out in Dubai, or Steve Banbury out in Dubai, Alvin Wang-Grayling of HTC Vive out in Beijing, I think he is in China. Like, everyone's so approachable, and everyone kind of feels like, even at that kind of high level, or let's say everyone, it's maybe an exaggeration, but certainly there are a large number of people that are very, very accessible and very open to come along to events like this and just sharing the thoughts and keeping our fingers on the pulse of what's going on, not just necessarily at the grassroots level, but at higher level industry kind of perspective as well. So thank you very, very much for sharing your input, your ideas, and also, your tips and tricks about how we can drive this forward. Thank you very much, Carlos. Sorry.
Yes, I think we have to make a picture of all our here, Sophie, okay?
We do. Let me bring up now the other presentation. Give me 2 seconds and I can bring that up, because we could get a nice picture in front of that. So I'm going to bring it up on the big screen. We're going to click present. And in 10 seconds, we should see that. So start presenting. It's at times like this, I wish I had 2 heads and 4 eyes. So one could be with the headset and the other one with the, and maybe 8 hands as well. And maybe another hand for just, no, I won't talk about chocolate biscuits again. Right, so here we go. We're going to put that in the, hang on a minute, where are we? Too many tabs open. Right, alt space down there. X, we removed that. That's disappeared, but we paste that in there. And I'm going to just jump forward a few slides to give us a nice thing. Oh, and by the way, listen, I've got to say this, everybody, before we get the photo. Oh, can you see the slides?
Yeah.
Great. It's not changed for me. But anyway, as long as you can see it, that's the most important thing. Can you see the donation link? I want to tell you something.
Yeah, that's right.
bit.ly/24hours. Listen to this. I started off a few weeks ago when I came up with this idea, €1,000. My Italian partner said to me, no, don't do that. Reach for the stars, do 5,000. And I went for that. But you know what? As this event has progressed, I've lowered that down from 5,000 to 2,000. Why did I do that? Well, listen, if you want to get in the gym and do 1,000 press-ups, and you realise after 300 press-ups, you can't do 1,000. We'll set the limit at 400. Squeeze, push to get those 400 and call it a day, yeah? Whatever your limit is, that's good enough. And just the fact that if you can't get to the top of Mount Everest doesn't mean that you didn't succeed if you only climbed 10 metres. Do you get what I'm saying? So I didn't know whether we'd be able to even do 24 hours. Thanks to the Educators in VR community, they've helped me out massively. And thanks to all your support and questions and moderation and everything else in between. So I've lowered that because at 1,400, I thought, let's see if we can get to 2,000 before the end of the event. That was 12 hours ago. 12 hours later, we are €21 away from hitting 2,000, which is now the target that was reset 12 hours ago.
It just went over. It's 2,000 already. It went up.
Oh, yes. We'll have a round of applause for that. I don't know who did that, but someone has pushed us over the 2,000. Now, that is going to buy them the Red Cross of Lecture, and it costs €30 for a full protective suit. Think how many gloves that is. Think how many times we're going to stop the spread of virus. And that's just in this small community. I want you to go away today and think about what you could do on a small level to keep this ball rolling where you are, or just spread the love somewhere else. Take the cat food to the neighbour, give them the bottle of milk. The neighbour might need it. Little things like that can go a long, long way. So thank you very, very much for all your donations. Should we have a photo in front of the big screen then? There we go, Carlos. Andrà tutto bene, as they say in Italian. Everything will be okay. Can you see that on the big screen?
Yeah.
Great. So can we get some hearts? And if you look over there, I think that's where the camera is flying high in the sky. I don't know how long we should be doing this, but there we go. All right. Great work, everybody. And Donna, I'm going to hand the reins over to you as one of the senior members of the Educators in VR community. What can you say about all this?
The educators. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys, a huge round of all sorts of emojis that Michael made it to 24 hours.
Yeah, but oh yeah.
12 hours, he doesn't speak a word. Michael, congratulations. You know, it's hard to say for any of us what might have been the most favorite moment of the day, because I'm sure there wasn't just one favorite moment.
Yeah.
And it's every presentation was memorable in its own way, and they will just live in infamy. Thanks to Steve and a team. I think
yes.
Every one of them got at least filmed. Not everyone was live streamed, but it got filmed, which means that they can be seen again. And all of these presentations were worthy of seeing again. And seriously, you guys, who doesn't want to see Diamond again? Like, let's give cards for Diamond.
Yeah, thanks very much. Fantastic.
And Carlos, I have to tell you, the other presentation here in Alt Space that had a similar problem to you in and Michael today was actually Diamond.
Yeah.
She kept crashing every about 1.5 minutes. And so perseverance, lots of orange juice and biscuits. But for most of it, I've been sitting on a set of stacking stools that has no cushion on it for 24 hours. And I went grocery shopping for 1 hour. And so other than that. But anyways, I just want to say, as educators of VR, Daniel and Laurel, it kills them to not be here. They just both expected to be here. Daniel couldn't, and Laurel has been really, really sick, and she just couldn't be up at this time. And so, really, Michael, they really wanted to be here to congratulate.
No problem at all.
I know how much they love partnering with you, and and that this isn't a one-time thing or anything, and you're such a big part of the community. And for you guys that came, and just this room was never empty. I was here for the whole day, and it just was never empty. And I'm just curious, of the people that are left here, how many went to see something and engage today? I personally did not.
I tried.
Yeah, you did, yeah. And Diamond, you went over?
I did.
Yeah, I was there with with Diamond, and also with Michael. I think through about 90% of the events that took place in Engage.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. Thanks very much, mate.
I had to put on a new version, and I deleted my version, and my new version won't go on. And so I can't get Engage right now, so it kills me, but that's what happened. Anyways, so just remember that what Laurel mentioned that today is mentioned today that on April 21st, Tom Furness, and I mean he was such a big hit. Also had a lot of problems in AltSpace and was such a big hit at the summit in February, so much so that he came back and did a second one, and now he's returning to the Educators in VR Training Center for April 21st. The weekly workshops are really interesting, you guys. The last Tuesday of the month is always a social, so that's what's happening. Where are we? Yeah, that's what's happening, I think, Tuesday as the 31st. And so I think with that, I just wanted to, Daniel and Laurel just asked me to say a huge congratulations and thank you to you, Michael. So I just wanted to let you know.
No, listen, I can't let you finish with that. It's the thank you to everybody that interacted, asked questions. Listen, if I'm standing here talking to myself for 24 hours, it's going to be 10 times more painful than it already was. So, Danny, you in particular, Margie, I just realised maybe I've been saying your name wrong for 24 hours. Donna, everybody else that's interacted, Robert, you've come up with some wonderful things. Hope to bump into you again sometime soon. Alex, my brother, is standing behind me, Karen, everybody. Listen, the interaction is what's made this experience absolutely 100% like genuine and real and useful. So without that interaction, it wouldn't have been anything. So I'm going to finish on that note. Take care, everybody. Keep washing those hands, and I'll see you on the other side. Thank